After working late, I came home and saw my phone light up with a trending topic in my city. It was a video titled $1 Million Drone Light Show Proposal. I tapped on it, and a sky full of lights formed a glowing message, "Happy birthday, my moon." I was about to scroll past, but my eyes paused on something in the bottom left corner of the video, a tiny line of credits from the service provider. Special thanks to Mr. Eric, ending in 8848, for his grand romantic gesture. I knew those digits by heart. That was my husband's phone number. And my birthday? It's next month. I called him. "Babe, how was your delivery route today?" He answered, sounding exhausted. "Don't even ask. A customer left a bad review, said I was late. Babe, we might need you to cover a bit more of the bills this month." I smiled and said it was fine. Then I hung up. Right after, I reposted that trending video to our shared Douyin, TikTok, tagging all his family and friends. Caption: My husband worked secretly as a delivery guy for 3 months to surprise another woman. So touching, right? Chapter 1. Less than a minute later, my phone started vibrating like crazy, calls pouring in, nearly blowing up the screen. The first was from my mother-in-law. Her voice blasted through the speaker, buzzing with fury. "Luna, what the hell are you doing? Posting nonsense in the middle of the night? Are you cursing our Eric? Phone numbers like that are everywhere. It's just a coincidence. What are you trying to pull here?" No sooner had she hung up than Eric's number popped up. His voice came through, deliberately tired and soft. "Babe, don't get mad. Let me explain. That was a rich coworker of mine. He wanted to surprise his girlfriend but didn't want to use his own number. So he borrowed mine. You know how picky those wealthy types are." He paused, then added with even more fatigue in his voice, "You always overthink. I just finished my last delivery. I'm dead tired, been busting my back for this family. Please delete the video, okay? My parents already called me. It's embarrassing." As I listened to the script he'd obviously rehearsed, the taste of metal rose in my mouth. I smiled, voice sweet and obedient. "Okay, you've worked hard. Honey, I was just being sensitive. I'll delete it right away." The moment I hung up, a WeChat notification popped up in the family group chat. My mother-in-law DM'd me directly. "Deleting it isn't enough. Apologize. You've turned this house upside down. You're nothing but bad luck." Eric must have used up all his good fortune marrying a paranoid, petty woman like you. I didn't respond. I just took a screenshot of the service provider acknowledgement section under the viral video. The drone company's name and logo were crystal clear. I sent the screenshot to the family group. Then I calmly typed, "Mom, don't worry. I've already contacted the drone company's legal department to ask about using someone else's phone number to book a service. They said they'll cooperate with the police for an investigation. Since this involves a 7-figure order, it's no small matter." The group, which had just been overflowing with messages, suddenly went dead silent, like someone had pulled the plug. Chapter 2. Less than 30 minutes later, I heard the front door unlocking. Eric was back. He wore that faded delivery t-shirt, sweat glistening on his forehead, his expression a perfect blend of guilt and urgency. He rushed over to hug me, but his body was completely dry, no trace of sweat. Instead, I caught a faint whiff of an expensive woody cologne I'd never smelled on him before. "Baby, I messed up. I shouldn't have lied to you." His chin rested on my shoulder as he launched into what was clearly his second prepared story. It was actually a male client. He wanted to propose to his girlfriend but didn't want to show up himself. So he paid me a lot to run the whole thing on his behalf. I thought it'd make things easier for you financially. So I took the job. I swear there's nothing between us. I saved every penny to surprise you. He pulled a wrinkled envelope from his pocket and placed it in front of me. Inside was a stack of cash, maybe around 10,000 yuan. "Look. This is the deposit he gave me. I've been busting my ass with deliveries for you. Can't you just try to understand?" His voice carried grievance, as if my suspicion was the greatest insult to his sacrifice. I looked into his bloodshot eyes, then at the cheap delivery uniform that clashed so jarringly with the expensive scent he wore. My stomach turned. I didn't even touch the envelope. "Okay. I believe you." I nodded. "Keep the money. I'll wait for the surprise." He let out a breath of relief. As soon as he left, I made a phone call to Pablo, my university senior, now a top-tier financial attorney. "Pablo, I need your help investigating someone. My husband, Eric. I told him everything about the drone company, the viral video, Eric's supposed 2 years of unemployment, all those late nights out under the guise of delivery work. I don't think it's just cheating. I suspect asset transfers and maybe even fraud. I need the truth about his finances. The next day, Eric took the day off to make it up to me, wearing his delivery uniform again. He clanged around the kitchen like a tornado. The place looked like it had been ransacked. At dinner, he sighed dramatically. Got docked another $200 today. Said I logged off early yesterday. Babe, we might need you to cover the mortgage again next month. I smiled and said it was fine. But deep down, I already knew the truth. I've been covering the mortgage, car payments, and all the bills for over a year. I earn over $1 million annually as a financial analyst. I don't mind supporting the family, but I do mind that my money is fueling lies. That weekend, a courier delivered an unmarked package. Inside was a high-end designer shirt, excellent fabric, tailored to a size that wasn't mine. Tucked inside the box was a handwritten card. The script elegant and unfamiliar. To my moon, you deserve only the best. The moon, the woman in the drone proposal video. Was this a declaration of war? Chapter 3. I brought the shirt to Eric and asked him about it. He took one look and reacted with the perfect mix of shock and anger. Who sent this? Wrong delivery? Or another stupid prank from a customer? Baby, just ignore it, throw it away. He grabbed the shirt, claiming he would get rid of it. That night, I received the first email from Pablo. Attached was a photo. Eric was wearing that exact same shirt, having dinner with a stunning woman at an upscale restaurant. The background of the photo? The riverside spot where the drone proposal had taken place. In the photo, Eric looked vibrant, confident, and doting, a stark contrast to the exhausted man sitting across from me night after night. When Pablo called, it was raining outside. His voice came through the receiver, flat and calm, but every word hit like a hammer. Luna, Eric isn't unemployed. He's been a nominal vice president at Hongshin Group for 3 years now. My fingers clenched the phone until they ached. His parents disapproved of your marriage. They thought your background was too ordinary. So Eric and his mother staged this performance. A performance? So my entire life was a script. This was a test. Pablo continued, to see if you were after his money. If you couldn't stand the poverty and filed for divorce, then he'd have a reason to officially marry someone else. My throat was dry, I couldn't speak. That woman is Rita, Pablo said, heiress of Tianchi Group. The drone proposal was for her. It was her birthday. My moon. Chapter 4. Turns out, I'm not the moon. I'm the shadow cast by it, the part hidden away in darkness. The most important part. Pablo paused. Is that the 800,000 yuan you've transferred to Eric over the past year? None of it went toward your mortgage. Every cent went into an offshore trust fund. The beneficiary is Rita. My mind went blank. A buzzing sound filled my ears. My stomach flipped. I rushed to the bathroom and retched over the toilet. But nothing came out, only bile and acid scorched my throat. Clutching the icy bathroom tiles, I stared into the mirror. The pale, drained face looking back felt like a stranger. Another email notification pinged. Pablo had sent me an invitation, a digital one, to Hongshin Group's annual charity gala. Date, next Saturday. Venue, top floor of the Global Financial Center. On the invite, Eric stood proudly beside his father, Nestor, both smiling, basking in luxury. Behind them, golden chandeliers, luxury decor. Behind me, a kitchen stained with years of grease and sacrifice. I called Pablo back. Help me prepare a gift, I said, voice calm. I'll deliver it in person. In the following days, Eric must have sensed something. He became overly affectionate. He brought me my favorite durian milk crepe cake, clumsily offered to give me a massage. His greasy fingers grazing my shoulders made my skin crawl. He held me and whispered, babe, once I've saved enough, we'll buy a big new house. I'll make sure you never have to suffer again. His warm breath brushed my ear. That sickly sweet cake churned in my stomach. I barely swallowed it back. 2 days before the gala, my mother-in-law asked to meet. At the cafe, she slid a check across the table. 1 million yuan. Leave my son. Her perfectly maintained face held nothing but disdain. A woman like you doesn't deserve him. Every day with you is suffering for him. I stared at the check, So this was what my 3-year marriage, my 800,000 yuan investment, and all the humiliation I endured was worth to their family, 1 million yuan. I asked. And if I don't? She smirked, that toxic kind of smile. Then prepare for ruin. We'll make you understand what real despair looks like. I looked down. A little red dot blinked quietly on my phone screen. I raised my head and smiled back at her. Sure, I'll be waiting. Her sobs filled the company lobby like sticky molasses. She collapsed on the polished marble floor, pounding it with her fists, shouting the same lines over and over. My poor son delivering takeout. This cruel woman bled him dry. Co-workers crowded around, eyes flicking between curiosity, sympathy, and scorn. The professional image I'd worked so hard to build was being ripped to shreds, trampled on by strangers, destroyed with every word. Chapter 5. Eric showed up. He had just finished a delivery. Still wearing his familiar food delivery uniform, he rushed in and lifted his mother from the floor. Then he turned to me, his eyes full of guilt and pain. Baby, I'm so sorry. My mom, she just loves me too much. Please don't blame her. His performance was flawless. Some female colleagues even began whispering, telling me to be more understanding. Men work hard outside. It's not easy. My manager called me into his office. He didn't scold me. He simply used a businesslike tone and said that the incident had left a bad impression, and that I should go home and sort out family matters. For the first time. Because of Eric, I compromised the career I had built like my life depended on it. I walked home alone, surrounded by towering skyscrapers whose glass facades distorted the gray sky. I didn't feel tired or humiliated, just blank. His whole family had built a flawless trap, and I was the only one inside it. Eyes blindfolded. Can I really win? Just then, my phone buzzed. Pablo's name lit up the screen. I answered. On the other end, Pablo couldn't hide the urgency in his voice. Luna, I found something huge. Do you know why Eric transferred your money into that offshore trust fund under Rita's name? I stayed silent, waiting, because Hongxin Group's financial chain is collapsing. Eric's father embezzled a massive amount of funds to cover a failed investment. If this leaks, the whole group will fall. Eric is leveraging Rita's family influence to try and save the company. At the same time, he's using your money, under Rita's name, to set up his escape plan. If Hongxin falls, that money becomes his restart fund. I stopped in my tracks. So even Rita was being used. He wasn't some heartbroken rich boy, he was a snake, coiled and ready to strike when the ship sinks. Pablo continued, I've got the transfer records proving he stole your money. I also have preliminary evidence of Hongxin's falsified internal accounts. At the gala, they'll announce a major partnership with Tianqi Group. That's their last shot. We need to destroy them before that. I looked up at the shining top of the global financial center in the distance. That would be their coronation. And their grave. Chapter 6. I called Pablo back. My voice was calm, emotionless. Pablo, launch the plan. I want them to fall from the very top and shatter. The ballroom on the top floor of the global financial center shimmered under chandeliers. The air smelled of champagne and indulgence. I walked in wearing a custom crimson gown. The music didn't stop, but hundreds of eyes turned and landed on me like a net. My mother-in-law was the first to react. She was holding a glass of wine, laughing with a guest. The moment she saw me, her expression twisted. Her hand trembled, nearly spilling her drink. Security! Where's security? Her shrill voice cut through the elegance like a knife. Get this crazy woman out. How did she sneak in? Eric followed closely, his face shifting from flushed to ashen. He stormed toward me, lowering his voice into a hiss. Luna, what the hell are you doing? I ignored him. My eyes moved past him, to a distinguished man not far away. Mario, chairman of Tianqi Group, Rita's father. I sidestepped Eric and walked straight to Mario. Mr. Mario, I greeted, my voice low but clear. I'm Luna. I'm a diamond-tier client at your bank. My financial advisor is Santiago. Mario's polite smile shifted to something more serious. He studied me, then gestured politely for me to continue. My mother-in-law's screams died in her throat. Eric froze. Rita appeared in her flawless white gown, holding champagne. She stopped in front of me and whispered, no matter how pretty you dress, you're still a loser. I glanced at her wrist. The luxury diamond watch sparkled under the lights. Bought it with the interest from that 800K trust fund. Didn't you? It looks nice. Her hand trembled. I turned away and walked back to Mario. Apologies, Mr. Mario, I said, now with a professional tone. As your client and as a financial analyst, I'd recommend a thorough due diligence on your potential partner's cash flow and certain overseas accounts before signing any major agreement. Mario's face didn't change, but the way he gripped his glass tightened. Luna! Eric finally snapped. He grabbed me and pulled me into a corner, nearly crushing my wrist. Are you done? You're really trying to destroy me? His elegant mask had shattered. I yanked my hand away and stared at his flushed, furious face. I just came to reclaim what's mine. Then came the gala's highlight. Eric walked on stage, hand in hand with Rita, under the spotlight. They were the perfect match. Eric held the microphone and began his speech, how he disguised himself as a deliveryman to test true love, and how Rita had stayed by his side. Laughter and applause filled the hall. At its peak, I raised my hand. Silence swept the room. Eric froze mid-speech. I stood up, my voice calm and clear. Mr. Eric, your story is touching, but the heroine sounds a lot like me. Gasps echoed. I ignored them. Also, may I ask, does the trust fund you set up using my 800K for Miss Rita still exist? Because surely, this little test of yours is over now, right? Eric paled under the lights. He stammered into the mic. That was all part of the plan. The money. I was going to return it. Don't misunderstand. Mario's expression turned stone cold. He looked from the trembling Eric to Nestor, who looked equally miserable. Sweat dotted their foreheads. Mario stood, addressed the crowd. A minor interruption. The gala will continue. Chapter 7. In the backstage lounge, Eric's father, Nestor, sat on the sofa. He no longer looked like the confident chairman from the stage. Every trace of his smile had disappeared. He poured me a glass of water and slid it across the table. Miss Luna, name your price. His tone was calm, as if negotiating a standard business deal. 1 million, 3 million, 5 million? Sign a non-disclosure agreement. Leave the city for good, and the money will be wired immediately. I didn't touch the glass. Seeing that I stayed silent, he leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. Young people shouldn't be too hot-headed. I've been in this industry for decades. There are plenty of ways to make someone unemployable or completely disappear. Hongxin Group's legal department isn't just for show. The door burst open. Eric rushed in. He pulled his father away and stepped in front of me. His eyes were red, and all the arrogance he had on stage was gone. Dad, please leave. Let me talk to Luna alone. Nestor glanced at me, then left the room. The moment the door shut, Eric's shoulders sagged. He grabbed my hand, his voice trembling, thick with emotion. I'm sorry, Luna. This is all my fault. I'm an idiot. I was scared. I was afraid you were just like the others. Only after my money. My parents didn't approve, and I thought, if I could prove you loved me, not my bank account. He bowed his head. Something warm fell on the back of my hand. I love you too much. I was terrified of losing you. That's why I did all those stupid things. Please, for the sake of everything we've been through, give me one last chance. His tearful plea was convincing. If I hadn't personally heard Pablo's recording, maybe I really would have hesitated. I pulled my hand back and took a step away, putting distance between us. Are you done? I asked. His sobs stopped. His face was full of confusion and disbelief. I stood up, towering over him slightly. Eric, you never really knew me. For people like me, there's no such thing as a peaceful breakup after betrayal. I walked out of the lounge. At the hallway corner, Rita stopped me. Her makeup was slightly smudged, and panic flickered in her eyes. What do you mean by the trust fund? She asked. Her voice was stripped of arrogance. I looked at her, the so-called moon, kept completely in the dark. I stepped past her. Ask Eric. Ask him why your name is on a trust fund created with my money. I didn't give her the answer. She would have to find that herself. Chapter 8. The next day, the tide of the internet turned. I became the hot topic of every feed, the gold digger ex-wife. Countless clickbait accounts recycled the same headline, painting me as a greedy, bitter woman, consumed by love turned to hate. Their chosen photo? The one where my mother-in-law was rolling on the floor of my office building, shrieking and howling. I stood in the center of the crowd, cold and expressionless, reinterpreted as cold-blooded under their inflammatory captions. The public was merciless. My supervisor called me into his office for the third time. His face showed nothing but discomfort. Luna, the board is under a lot of pressure. Maybe you could take an unpaid leave, just until this blows over? I knew what that meant. A polite way of saying, you're fired. They had succeeded, tarnished my name before I even had a chance to defend it. Now, even if I showed irrefutable evidence, they would still label me a scorned woman out for revenge. My phone buzzed. A message from Eric. Luna, stop it. You're not going to win this. If you end it now, I'll make sure no one targets you again. We can walk away peacefully. I stared at that line and laughed. This wasn't peace, it was a victor's condescension. A pat on the head for the loser. I dialed Pablo. Pablo, I saw it. Their PR team is strong. He said, voice low. They want me silenced. I replied, so let's make some noise. You're sure? Once we play this card, there's no going back. I'm sure. The tide of public opinion isn't meant for justice, it's meant to drown. I sent Pablo the cafe recording, my mother-in-law offering me $1 million to leave her son. Find a few finance influencers who specialize in exposing elite scandals. Give it to them as an exclusive. Pablo immediately understood what I was aiming for. Targeted strikes always hit harder than public shouting. Within 24 hours, a new trending topic exploded. Hashtag rich mother-in-law pays to get rid of daughter-in-law. The recording was crystal clear. My mother-in-law's haughty tone slithered through speakers and straight into every listener's ears. Public opinion flipped in an instant. WTF. She got bullied and then fought back? This Mael is disgusting. First she was humiliated with money, then cyberbullied by the whole family. This poor woman. So all the earlier posts calling her a gold digger were just paid trolls hired by Eric's family? Thousands swarmed the same accounts that had trashed me days ago, flooding their comments with backlash. The wind had changed direction. Chapter 9. The calls from Eric's family came flooding in. I didn't answer a single one, until Eric used a new number to call. Luna, did you leak the recording? What the hell are you doing? My mom's getting chewed out by my dad. The whole house is a mess. His voice was furious, no trace of the gentle tone he used to fake. I listened to him losing control and let out a soft laugh. Why the panic? My voice was calm. This is just the interest on the $800,000 you owe me. On the other end, silence, deathly silence. I hung up. Things escalated even faster than I had expected. Pablo informed me that Mario, Rita's father, immediately called off the scheduled contract signing after the recording leaked. He sent in his own audit team to conduct a supplementary due diligence on the Hongshin Group. A direct strike to the foundation. Rita called too, sounding nothing like the arrogant princess from the gala, only tense, breathless. What is this trust fund you mentioned? Eric, what did he? The truth? I interrupted her. Ask your father's audit team. Have them look into whether $800,000 was funneled into an offshore account under your name, funded by me. I hung up, leaving the question where it belonged, with them. I thought they'd stay quiet for a while. I underestimated how shameless they could be. The second counterattack from Eric's side came fast and brutal. Screenshots of explicit chat logs were leaked by a gossip account. The other person in the conversation? David, my former coworker. The messages were vulgar, time-stamped during my marriage to Eric. Under the screenshots was the most inflammatory caption imaginable. Shocking twist. The ex-wife wasn't a victim, she was the cheater. Seducing married coworkers. Sleazy messages. A master manipulator all along. David himself posted a vague tweet. The past is behind us. I just want peace and to protect my family. That vague line was enough to paint me as the guilty party. Overnight, I went from the ex-wife bullied by the rich to the scheming woman with a messy private life, out to ruin her ex. Sex scandals spread much faster than corporate fraud. My reputation was trampled into the dirt. At the grocery store, the cashier looked at me with open disdain. In my neighborhood, whispers followed me, judging eyes pierced my back. To them, I became that shameless woman. It was the darkest moment of all. The whole world was trying to drown me in spit. Pablo's call was the only light. Luna, don't panic. It's all forged, full of holes. They moved too fast. And it's sloppy. We've already tracked David. I didn't respond, just listened. The day before he posted that tweet, 500,000 was deposited into his account from an anonymous source. I stood at the window, staring down at the people who looked at me like I was dirt. My phone buzzed, a screenshot from Pablo. Bank transaction details. Those numbers burned into my eyes. I typed back 2 words. Not enough. Pablo replied. Not enough for what? I said. I'm not trying to clear my name. My voice sounded unfamiliar even to myself. I want them ruined. The internet buried me alive. David's fake screenshots and tweet were like shovels of dirt, reeking of filth, pushing me further down. I became the woman who seduced a married coworker and lashed out at her ex when it failed. Bloodthirsty trolls swarmed my social media. Every post was flooded with the ugliest curses. I shut off my phone and posted one final update. A black screen. 2 words. I'm tired. Then I pulled all the curtains closed. Let them think I was broken. Let them think I disappeared into darkness. That's when the predator sets the perfect trap. When prey thinks it's safe. That's when the hunter strikes. When Pablo called again, I was watching the Hongqing stock chart. A sharp green line had started to dip. News of the canceled deal had shaken the market. Luna. He's panicking, Pablo said, almost gleeful. He told me that the legal letter, attached with the transaction records, had been delivered to David. The man who played victim online had turned ghost pale when he saw that screenshot of the 500,000 transfer. He almost dropped to his knees before the lawyer. He confessed everything. He's begging to cooperate, hoping for a chance to redeem himself. What did I tell him to do? I asked. Exactly what you instructed. Keep in contact with Eric's people and record every word. I looked outside. Dawn was breaking. Chapter 10. The second recording landed in my inbox quickly. I pressed play. A man's unfamiliar voice filled the room. It was Eric's family's legal counsel. David, you handled this well. The public opinion has completely flipped. Once the storm passes, the remaining 500,000 will be all yours. The boss said, as long as you destroy that woman completely, your future in Hongqing will be smooth sailing. On the other end, David's obsequious gratitude echoed like slime. I saved the recording under one name, perjury. At that moment, a financial news alert popped onto my screen. Breaking, Tianqi Group Chairman Mario announces permanent termination of all cooperation with Hongqing Group. The image showed Mario at a press conference, solemn and composed, in front of a sea of cameras. He declared, Tianqi's partnerships are built on integrity. We will never work with any company that lacks it. A slap to the face, and it echoed. Pablo's call came seconds later. Luna. Rita exploded. She took her father's audit report and stormed into Eric's house. They say she slapped Eric in the face right in front of Nestor. She said the dumbest thing she's ever done was meeting him. I could picture it perfectly. Eric's stunned face. Rita's burning fury. Nestor's ashen expression. Their carefully groomed princess had just flipped the whole board. I logged into the live stream account I hadn't touched in months. No caption. No promo. As the press conference about Tianqi peaked in views, I pressed go live. Instantly, the number of viewers skyrocketed. The screen was flooded with sneering comments. She still dares to live stream? Thick-skinned much? Watch her pretend to cry now. Pathetic. How much did Eric's family pay you for this drama? I ignored them. I looked directly into the camera and calmly said, I know many of you are cursing me. That's fine. But before I explain anything, listen to this recording. I hit play. David and Eric's lawyers' voices spread across the internet. As long as you destroy that woman completely. That vicious line echoed across the stream. The comments froze for a second. Then, they exploded. Holy sh*t. A recording? That's fake testimony. I knew there was more to this story. David is a rat. Eric's family is disgusting. The things they did to ruin her. Sis. I'm sorry. I take back everything. Sending you rockets. Viewership passed 1 million. Eric's PR team was probably in full meltdown by now. I kept staring into the camera. I watched as curses turned into apologies. As mockery turned into support. I didn't smile, but my voice, soft and even, pierced through every device. Eric, Nestor, and you, my dear mother-in-law. Your performance is over. Now, it's my turn. Word by word, I announced. 3 days from now, I will hold a press conference and release all evidence, including how Hongshin Group embezzled $800,000 of my money to set up a trust fund for Miss Rita, including the discrepancies hidden in their financial reports. See you in court. I chose the city's most prestigious hotel ballroom for the event. The spotlights were blinding, the crowd a dense sea of press, cameras, and murmurs. Wearing a tailored black suit, I stood behind the podium. Behind me, a massive screen, still blank. Just before we began, commotion stirred at the entrance. Mario, chairman of Tianqi Group, entered with Rita by his side. They ignored the media swarm and walked straight to the front row VIP seats. Rita looked at me, her gaze held layers of emotion. Then she gave me a small, almost invisible nod, a silent show of support. Chapter 11. Half of Eric's plans had already gone up in smoke. The other half walked into the trap the moment Mario and his daughter took their seats. Luna! You lying lunatic! Eric and his father, Nestor, burst into the hall like two rabid dogs, followed by several guards trying and failing to stop them. Nestor pointed a trembling finger at me and roared to the reporters. Don't believe a word she says. She's just a vengeful woman scorned. Every word out of her mouth is a lie meant to blackmail us. Eric turned his fury toward Mario. Mr. Mario, you've been deceived too. She's nothing but a gold-digging seductress. I have proof she cheated. He held up his phone, showing the fake chat logs. The crowd gasped. The flashlights erupted like fireworks. I watched them scream and squirm below the stage like two beasts thrashing in a trap. I didn't respond. I just picked up the remote and pressed the first button. Behind me, the screen lit up. A high-resolution bank statement appeared. A red arrow traced the transfer of $800,000 from my account to Eric's. Another arrow connected his account to an offshore trust fund. Under beneficiary, in bold letters, Rita. This is the first piece of evidence. I said into the mic. Calm and clear. Mr. Eric used my 800,000 yuan to prepare a surprise for Miss Rita. Eric's face drained of all color. Rita leaned back in her seat, eyes closed. I pressed the second button. The screen displayed the drone light show contract, phone number ending in 8848, 1 million yuan payment receipt, and Eric's own signature. This is the second piece. You used my money to launch fireworks for your new love. That's a lie, Nestor shouted. It was all a test of her love. His voice died in his throat as I played the third piece of evidence. A recording echoed through the hall. David, you did well. The narrative has flipped. The boss said, as long as you destroy that woman, your future in Hongqing is guaranteed. Silence fell over the entire room. The spotlight of judgment shifted from me to Eric and his father. All eyes were cold, disgusted, watching, waiting to see them fall. Nestor collapsed into a chair, lips trembling, speechless. Eric was still clinging to denial. He lunged at the podium. Luna, you scheming bitch. Security held him back. I looked down at his twisted face and pressed the final button. This time, the screen didn't show a simple contract or wire transfer. It displayed a full investigative report from Pablo's team. Line by line, embezzled funds, fake invoices, offshore transfers. This is the final piece of evidence. I locked eyes with Nestor. This isn't a lover's quarrel. Chairman, it's financial fraud. You used my 800,000 to plug the hole left by your embezzlement, dangled Rita's investment as your last hope, and pawned off your son's marriage as your final bet. And now, you've lost. At that moment, the grand ballroom doors burst open. Uniformed police officers and serious-faced financial crime agents entered, every camera trained on them. They walked straight to the stage. Standing before Eric and Nestor, the lead officer showed his badge and warrant. Mr. Eric, Mr. Nestor, you are under arrest for embezzlement, contract fraud, and money laundering. Please come with us. The handcuffs snapped shut with a sharp metallic click, cold steel on hands that once signed multi-million-dollar deals. As Eric was dragged away, he turned to glare at me, eyes full of hatred. His mother, the elegant woman who had tried to kill me with her glares all night, saw the cuffs on her son. Her eyes rolled back. She collapsed backwards in her chair. The chaos, the gasps, the screams became the funeral dirge of their collapsing empire. Chapter 12. A few months later, the verdict was delivered. Nestor was convicted on multiple charges: embezzlement, falsifying financial records, commercial fraud. The combined sentence, life imprisonment. Eric, as an accomplice, covering up crimes, money laundering, and fraud, was sentenced to 15 years in prison. David, for his major cooperation and voluntary return of illicit gains, was given a suspended sentence. The towering empire of Hongxin Group completely collapsed. The court ruled that the 800,000 yuan Eric had funneled into the offshore trust was illegal income, and ordered its full recovery, including interest, to be returned to me. All assets under Eric's family name were frozen and liquidated. The villa, luxury cars, shares, everything was auctioned off to repay defrauded investors and the banks. As for my mother-in-law, she couldn't take the relentless blows. She suffered a stroke and was left bedridden, dependent on others for the rest of her life. And I, after that clean, decisive turnaround, saw my name rise like wildfire across the industry. I resigned from my previous firm. Pablo also left his position as senior partner at his law firm. Together, we started a consulting company specializing in financial disputes and legal recovery. Our mission, to help people, especially those caught in the tangled web of money and manipulation, reclaim what they deserve. I used the recovered funds, along with my savings, to buy a large riverside apartment. From the floor-to-ceiling windows, I can see the night skyline across the river, right across from where that infamous drone light show took place. Once, I was the shadow excluded from the light. Now, I stand here, looking down over the entire cityscape. One day, I received a letter from prison. It was from Eric. Dozens of handwritten pages, full of regret, recounting our memories, begging for forgiveness. He hoped I'd visit him. I didn't even open the envelope. I fed it directly into the shredder. The downfall of him and his entire family was, to me, ancient history. Rita asked to meet at the cafe. She wore a crisp business suit. There was a new sharpness in her eyes. She was no longer the pampered princess she once was. With her father's support, she had begun to take over the family business. Luna, I'm sorry, she said sincerely. And, thank you. We exchanged a small smile, finished our coffee, and never contacted each other again. Our company continued to grow, and so did our reputation. We helped a stay-at-home wife, psychologically manipulated by her husband for years, win back her rightful share of marital assets. We helped a startup founder, betrayed by his own business partner, save the company he had poured his soul into. And I found something stronger than love, something that lasts. A career, a self, a fortress I built with my own hands, brick by brick, to protect my dignity and my future. That night, I had just wrapped up a video conference when a news notification lit up my phone. Luna consulting firm strikes again, over 100 victims recover over 100 million yuan. I turned off the phone and walked to the window. The river breeze was warm and gentle, brushing against my skin like a summer secret. I poured myself a glass of red wine, and looked out at the dazzling lights across the water. Tonight, I am my own moon.